Hello everyone, welcome to our Sangha. I believe you can hear me. If you have any question, please do ask in person while you are in a meeting, or you can send a direct message, or you can ask on YouTube if you are watching. Everybody on YouTube, you find it okay to hear me and picture quality?
It's gone
What is gone?
on YouTube.
Is on.
Maybe I need to reopen.
Look again, please.
Let me see, maybe it's...
Can you put the light on, please?
Yeah.
Face it to you. Closer.
Okay. It's good.
Hello, everyone. I think now we are good to go. If you have any question, please ask. If you don't have any question and still like to engage and participate, just be attentive. You are live on YouTube, and if there is any hindrance you find being live, just to be mindful of it. If you do unmute, you may be live broadcasting your face. But I'm sure you are more than happy to be in the picture. And today I have a couple of questions. I have a question directly from some of my students. They asked from Instagram and social media. Somebody asked on my mudra posture, what mudra one should use while meditating. There's during meditation you can use any mudra, but it more depends what is your mood while you are meditating. Most prefer mudra while you're meditating. You should use samadhi mudra, which is palm, or you can use Gyan mudra. Some people use Sambhavi mudra or Naskadra mudra. So these mudras are one you perform using your hand. Some mudras you do with your eyes. Some you also use your entire body. So when you are meditating, personally I would recommend Sambhavi mudra, Naskadra mudra, or Jnana Mudra, Samadhi Mudra. If aim of meditation to revive and energize your body, you can use Prana Mudra. If your meditation practice is specific, like when you're using the Gayatri Mantra, Japa meditation, you end up using 24 mudras. So depending what you are trying to practice, your mudra is depend the knowledge and understanding you have for basic practice. You should practice Jnana Mudra or Samadhi Mudra, and with the eyes, either eyes closed or look tip of your nose or into your third eye. Next question I have: which mudra is best for a mind? It's a very difficult question to answer, because if you already know what mind is, you do not need any mudra. But also depend what influences your mind and how you define the mind. If you asking question about fluctuation during meditation, or calm the nervous system, or calm your mind, or your head, Jnana Mudra is also very good. Or depends also which element is influencing your body. Which element is influencing your body, which is affecting your mind. You have to use mudra as per elementary issue that is having impact on your mind. In general, if there's a loss of thought going through your mind and you get anxious or nervous or stressed, I will recommend a mustik mudra. Take left thumb tucked in, and or just clench your fist as tight as you can. And whenever you're feeling anxious, your mind is, you're losing your mind or you're losing your awareness, just clench your left fist as tight as possible. And that will make a big difference. That will calm you down, that will calm your mind down, calm your body awareness down. Or you can look tip of your nose, Naskagra Mudra. You sit down facing a wall and looking tip of your nose, your eyes are partially open. That can also center your mind, but make sure your chin is slightly raised. They can also be very beneficial for mind. Naskagra Mudra or Jnana Mudra. If you're having a physical reflex, or you feel scared, or if you feel anxious, nervous, and you're losing the control over your, if you're getting anxiety, just left hand really, really tight fist held that time, and keep breathing strong. That will be very helpful. Only with the left hand will be sufficient. You do not need to use both hands. But avoid clenching of your jaws. I have the next question. How to attain Atma Gyan, which is a self-knowledge or self-realization. Everybody can hear this. How to attain a Atma Gyan, which is self-knowledge or understanding of oneself or the self-awareness. The more you understand yourself, the less you know yourself. Yourself, the once you get to know yourself, depend what method you are using, more vast you find your presence and your existence. You find there is no other than you. Some people experience. Some experience that you no longer, you do not even exist. Is the both cases, outcome is the same. One, you become part of infinite, you become so vast that you cannot be identified, means not existed at all. Some people say that you do not exist, illusion strips away, you are just only the illusion. First of all, how to attain the Atma Gyan, you need to understand your mind, what creates a hindrance or what brings the projection of you in every aspect of it. You need to drop that first. Your expectation that what you should be or what is expected of you, no matter how free a life you have or how much books you have read or tried to understand or meditated, there is always an expectation. There is always a certain story around your existence, around you, what yourself is, either through the books or from the teachers or from the other practices. You need to drop all of that. That is a borrowed knowledge of self, not of yourself, but of self. If you are trying to experience that, that means you are actually projecting that knowledge on yourself and having an expectation to experience that. So first part to process and in process of Atma Gyan or the knowledge of oneself, understanding and accepting the presence of you in your body, connecting with it, understanding and developing awareness to your senses, accepting the limitation of the senses, that is also a knowledge. knowledge about yourself. Not projected, but experiencing. You are witnessing it. The more you can witness silently as in a drashta bhav, which is a awareness of witness. You're witnessing consciously with no expectation or any projection, real time sensation. That can be the first step. I mean, no projection. Second step, if you're interested, try to observe whatever appears to you. I'm giving examples of from Jnana Yogi point of view, or somebody who's contemplating, analyzing. Constantly, whatever thought appears to you, and observe it, and you will find it that was absolutely only a projection of you. There was zero truth around it. That means you do not need to identify and hold on to it. And wait silently in this space, and the next thoughts arrive. Like ripple effects, one after the other, like waves. That can be the one method to attain the self. One method is simply meditate, holding your awareness and attention to a single conscious, single energy or thought in your body. Remember, every thought that appears or you experience, witness, it comes from you. It starts from you and it dies in you. Thought doesn't die outside of you. It starts from you, goes back into you. If you follow and hold that thought and witness it properly, there comes a point of dying of the thought. You are very close to yourself. The time you're finding the freedom from a thought, you're very close to you. But what happened? You do not witness that thought. You get a parallel thought to it, start fighting with it. You want to create a different thought so you can be not having a thought. Or the same thought intertwines into a next thought. But if you can pay attention and observe it, the point of transition is also that time you are very close to yourself. And hold it. You can reach to the point from meditation point of view. If you are realized and understood, there is another path, is bhakti yoga. You can also get a knowledge of self. Maybe it is borrowed in the beginning, but it can create an inspiration for a mind to drop the ego, can drop the karta bhav, only just becomes a seva bhav, which is basically a devotion. To cultivating the devotion, cultivating the love, cultivating the compassion, cultivating the kindness in you. So generating from the action base may not be a natural in you. First you might have to practice them. Sometimes you might have to force certain implications on the mind to be kind, or to be compassionate, to be devout, to be loving, to be caring. But slowly, mind is just a training, but not you. But once the mind is not start witnessing, yourself is already have all those, but externally mind is also experiencing. The gap is little less. between you and your mind, or yourself and projection of yourself. Through the Bhakti Yoga, you can also reach to the self-knowledge. The Niskam Karma Yoga can also reach you to self-realization, self-awareness of yourself. Because when you're doing seva, when you're doing service, when you consciously serving with ego-less state to the all being, seeing yourself in all being, all everything else you see is a projection of yourself. If you can develop the ability, everything and everyone you see is a manifestation of you, and you are serving. You will get to the point that you no longer like to harm someone, you no longer like to hurt, because it is your manifestation, is extension of you. And I'm pretty sure nobody likes to hurt oneself unless you are suffering from some mental or suffering from self issues, which medical condition you can call it, or chemical imbalance in the body. There is lots of people who like to hurt themselves, so they start going hurting other people. I'm not talking about self-harm. Don't take it that way. When somebody is actually hurting someone, which actually they are hurting themselves inside, or they're finding the way to retaliate, they're finding the way to share that pain to other people by hurting other people. It's not because they want to hurt, but actually they are hurting inside. There's many ways in this Bhakti, you can find a Atma Gyan. There's a Atma Gyan, or the self-knowledge, you can also get it from books. Knowledge you get either by hearing or reading. It just can become sometimes burden unless you are willing to implement it, unless you are willing to live it. Otherwise, just become a decoration, facade of a life that you have to live through it. But in reality, you are far away from it, your inner own reality. So my personal recommendation, you choose the path that's suitable to your mental consciousness or to your awareness, how it influences you. Next question I have, what is the difference between Atma, consciousness, and mind? What is the difference between Atma, consciousness, and mind? There is big difference and there is zero difference. When you are with Atma, when you become Atma, there is no consciousness and there is no mind. Your consciousness, your mind can be influenced by the consciousness. Your consciousness can be influenced by the mind. You can practice you can increase your consciousness level about whatever practices you would like to do, however you engage your senses into it. Similarly, whatever you're using your mind into it, it can grow. But your Atma can't grow and can't be influenced. As long as your Atma is attached to unconsciousness, means your frequency level is capped. It still belongs to certain vibration level. Your mind is constantly engaged, practicing the certain practices, or whatever consciousness level you are liking your Atma or your awareness to be raised to. But your Atma is a little bit further away from the consciousness and your mind. Atma is Ajab, Amar, your eternal existence, which you can call it omnipresence, or which you can call it your transcendental being, or you can call it Param Atma. Atma is very close to Paramatma. Atma have possibility to become one with Paramatma. As long as it's fixed with the as long as attached to a consciousness, there is still a gap. You will reach close to Paramatma. So be attentive to your mind. The mind is just a food. The mind is there to serve your Atman or your consciousness, to free the karma or whatever consciousness. You still have karma in the mind, you have karma in your consciousness, but not in your Atma. So, freeing your Atman, even from a consciousness, can reach to the Bandhan Mukti or Jiva Mukti, or you can call it Moksha. Liberation is only a matter of mind. You are liberated from certain things that you call it Bandhan Mukti or Jiva Mukti. It's not ultimate. Moksha, when you are free from the cycle of death and birth, when your Atma is free from cycle of death and birth, that is only possible when your mind have dropped into consciousness have dissolved itself into the Atman have dissolved itself into the omnipresence. So there is a difference, and then there is no difference. Once you are connected to your Atman, to your inner self, your consciousness is connected to inner self, and your mind is connected to your consciousness, to your omnipresence. That you can call it Siddhas, or you can call it liberated or enlightened being. In that stage, the mind and consciousness are not one. The moment the identity arrives that you are enlightened, you are liberated, you are awakened being, you are Buddha, or whatever it is, your consciousness has arrived because you have labeled your inner presence in a box. Consciousness is like a parameter that you have to extend your vibration to a certain level of it. And your mind is working constantly to raise your awareness to that level. But it's still limited. But your Atma is not. So I hope that help you, Gautam Negi Yoga. Is there anyone have any question from the group, from the live? No? Anybody on YouTube have any question? I have one more question. How to apply a Nauli properly? If somebody is a cloud burst, how do people come up with such names, cloud burst? 9 cloud burst, 9. Anyway, how to apply a Nauli? Nauli is a, you have to maintain certain level of precautions, my friend. If you suffering from any blood pressure issues, either is a low or high, having very chronic diabetic or sugar issues, anemia also, pregnancy, menstruation time and ovulation if you are a female, or the menstruating also if you are a female, or pregnant if you are a female. But nowadays you can't say that because some males are also pregnant. So I take that statement back. If you are pregnant, menstruating, or ovulating, heart condition issues, blood pressure issues, diabetes issues, anemia, because all those precautions will lead to the fatigue afterward if you do practice Nauli. Suffering from any gut bleeding, enlarged liver, digestive issues, i.e. ulcer, or piles, hemorrhoids, scoliosis in the spine, and anything related to your cervical part, the spine, spondylitis, or any vertigo issues as well. Having diffused vertebrae, all those precautions should be kept in mind. Some of them you can still practice Nauli, some you cannot practice Nauli at all. Especially if you're pregnant, you can't. If you are on a period, I will not recommend it. If you have a liver issues, kidney stones also, I will not recommend Nauli because you're more likely to damage the system. If you have vertigo in practicing Nauli, you're more likely to create a damage to your body. If you having any lumbar part spine issues, scoliosis, or cervical spine issues, you can do practice it, but under the guidance, somebody who knows what you should be doing and how your body should be moving, with an extension rather than a rotation of your hips. And any other chronic digestive disorder and heart condition, you can also practice it, but depend how chronic it is. So always take precautions in the mind before you practice Nauli. Second part comes to how do you practice, how do you prepare practicing Nauli. Bahir Kumbhaka is important part. Try not to strain your diaphragm area. If you want to practice Nauli properly, remember Nauli will have impact on your entire digestive system, circulatory system, respiratory system, your endocrine system, your nervous system, central nervous system, your reproductive organs, your physical skeleton body, your skeleton structure if you're doing it correctly. So any of those issues, make sure your stomach is empty. Not do it. If you have not had clear bowel movement, I will not recommend you to practice Nauli. If you have eaten, do not practice Nauli. There's lots of Nauli can create a more harm to your body if it's done incorrectly, but it can be very beneficial Kriya if you slowly progress, keeping the physical limitation and awareness of your body and your own energetic limitation and physical limitation of your own self. When you practice, first stage to start practicing Bahir Kumbhaka, standing, practicing Bahir Kumbhaka with both feet hip width apart or shin length width apart, allowing your diaphragm to creating the vacuum system or lifting the diaphragm naturally as high as possible by itself, but you maintain your nervous system relaxed. Allow the diaphragm to lift up automatically. Your belly button should start feel throbbing. You hold it till your belly button start feeling throbbing. Stage one. Second part, you practice a lot of out breath retention, belly pumping to loosen the belly. Third practice, you should do longer practice of Uddiyana Bandha and Jalandhar Bandha. Once you have mastered all that, then you practice Nauli 3.5 circle left to right, 3.5 right to left. People go crazy. They think this is like a chocolate rotation or rotating the belly as fast as you can. You will get more tornado effect of Kundalini. Actually, it's more dangerous for you. Maximum, first you practice left, right, hold the center. Center, left, center, right. Center, left, center, right. Just only moving side to side, not churning. This will be your next step. Once you have developed the movement of left side Nauli, center Nauli, and right side Nauli, back to center. You start in center, take it to the left, back to center, take it to the right, back to center, and release. Take a breath. Go back again. Back to center, left, center, right, center, release. If you can do that several times in one out breath retention, approximate, you should be able to do that 7 cycle of it. Left, center, right, center is 1 cycle. If you can do 7 of them in one out breath retention, then you should try to create a circle. But when you're making the circle, make sure your hips does not move. Your palm pressure into your thighs should be able to move your belly, not moving the hips as in a circulation motion to make the Nauli happen. That is an incorrect practice will lead a long term to lumbar part spine problem and strain to cervical spine issue area. So there's many precautions about Nauli, but somebody who practices Nauli will also develop a lot of vata issues. If you start developing vata issues, make sure your diet is clean and consume a little bit more ghee or olive oil to maintain your digestive system not to produce too much air or too much bile. So that's how you implement a Nauli properly. I hope that has been helpful for you. And if you have any further question, please do ask anytime. Is there anybody else have any question? If so,
Yeah, Yogi, a question came through on the Zoom chat in reference to mudras from earlier. And it came from somebody here, obviously. So the question is there a mudra to achieve, to activate the left side of the brain only? Because you talked about the mudra for anxiety to clench the left fist only. Does that activate one side of the brain?
I will recommend the Naskagra Mudra, and left side of the brain is controlled by your right side of the body, your Pingala Nadi, which is a sun energy, the warmth, the masculine energy in the body, your logical brain. So I will recommend to practice Naskagra Mudra and for that reason. Or alternative notes for pranayama. If you're working in the individual side of the brain, in that case you practice pranayama. Mudras, Gyan Mudra will also be very comfortable, or to balance the right side of the brain or left side of the brain. But preferred, I will recommend a Naskadra Mudra, looking tip of your nose with the eyes open. I hope that helpful. If you still have questions, please do ask sometime. That will be enough for today. And thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our discussion on Zoom as well as on YouTube. See you soon. Thank you, everyone.